Welcome once again to Lehto's Law. Here's Steve Lehto.
Got one of those stories here that's been breaking for a little while. It's been unfolding, and I was kind of waiting to see if there'd be a resolution of some sort, but not quite. Al sent me a note yesterday, said, Steve, check this out. It appears that it's still going on with no end in sight. What we're talking about here, of course, is a massive auto dealer outage. CDK Global says it won't be able to come back online this month. You might go, Steve, who is CDK Global, and why would that matter? Well, it turns out they provide a software, a program, a network, the whole thing for car dealerships. And without this, car dealerships can't sell cars. And on some levels, they can't do other things either. Turns out dealerships are very, very dependent on this if they use it. And something like 15,000 car dealerships in America use this system. And I was unaware of this, how big this system was or how important it was to the day-to-day functioning of car dealerships. So this version of the story is from CNN. Rameshah Maroof wrote it. CDK Global is the retail software provider behind the massive auto dealer outage, says it does not believe its systems will be back online before June 30th. A major blow to car buyers and sellers who've been struggling to complete auto sales during peak car buying season. I've gotten notes from people who are trying to buy a car right now, and some of them are actually halfway through the transaction, and the dealership said, oh, we're kind of stuck here. We can't finish this yet because of paperwork issues and paperwork we can't do because we don't have access to this system we normally use. The system's outage caused by a cybersecurity incident has paralyzed nearly 15,000 car dealerships across North America since last week. In an automated voice message sent to its clients, CDK said it is making significant progress in restoring its core application. And they said, we do feel it's important to share that we do not believe they'll be able to get all dealers live prior to June 30th. Company also urged dealerships to make other plans for the month-end financial reports, which apparently is something they also were involved in. Now, auto dealerships use CDK software to manage everything from scheduling to records, and they said they've begun restoring their software, but it has suggested several times that a fix is in order, only to then say that its systems would remain out of commission for a little bit longer. Meanwhile, some dealers have been fulfilling orders using pen and paper, old school. Other services such as state inspections, repairs, and parts deliveries have come to a standstill in some areas. CDK has said it is working to investigate the shutdown after 2 cyber incidents brought down the systems. The company has not confirmed exactly what's going on, but Bloomberg previously reported the company is negotiating with a hacker group demanding tens of millions of dollars in ransom to end the outage. So apparently, this system is used in many aspects of the dealership and how they make, what they do. And so once it's down, they can't do anything. And I was unaware of how pervasive this was in respect to how much of what the dealership does is touched by or controlled by or intertwined with a single program. And that's, to me, kind of surprising. Now, I remember the first car I ever bought, okay? And back in 1979, I bought a 1969 Dodge Charger for $300. It was green. It was rusty, and my brother said, Steve, you buy it and you buy the materials, I'll paint it for you. Just you pay for the materials, I'll do the painting. So I painted it yellow, looked really nice when I was done. But I bought it from a friend of a friend, and went out to look at the car, decided to buy it. The guy goes, I want $300 for it. And I'd never bought a car before, and I never thought that much about the process. And the guy goes, oh, it's easy. Let's go to the Secretary of State's office. And we went there, and he brought the title with him, and we did the title work. And, of course, we did an RD-108, which is an application for title. And that's a document you fill out that's the state makes you do. And they ask you things like the seller's information, the buyer's information, the vehicle identification number, the make, model, all that stuff, what you paid for the car, sales tax, registration fees, and so on. Now, if you're doing this at a dealership, that column of numbers on the right-hand side gets much more complicated and larger. There's all kinds of documentation fees, double secret probation fees, and all kinds of other stuff that gets added in there. But all of these documents, many of them are mandated by the state or the Fed. So if you borrowed money, there's a Truth in Lending Act document that has all these boxes across the top. So all of these forms have got to be filled out, and they're so different from one another that it makes sense that if somebody created a program that would just kick them all out, that'd be great. I remember seeing these forms filled out by hand. I remember seeing them filled out by somebody with a typewriter, because occasionally you'd see stuff that was typed not quite in the box, but not quite out of the box. And I remember even in my business where people come to my office, I see these documents, but I've never watched them being made that much, except when I've been buying cars. And I remember seeing them get typed up, and I remember seeing them get fed into a glorified typewriter connected to a machine that was clearly programmed for particular forms. And they'd put the forms in, they get kicked out. Now, of course, they got this program that apparently handles everything, but it's not just the forms. Apparently, it's also like the work orders in the service department and scheduling stuff and then bookkeeping stuff. And so what I'm really wondering about is the fact that you got a program that you run your dealership with and it's still connected to the mothership someplace. So the mothership goes down and your dealership comes to a standstill. And that to me seems to be kind of a weak point in all of this. And I'm wondering now if that's because the parent company doesn't want to do just a mere license and say, oh, we've got a program here, you can license it from us like any other software. Is it because they want to do it on a subscription model, which we've talked about recently, like with Adobe, for instance, where it used to be you could license it and they'd send you a disc and you'd license it and you'd use it. But now subscription, which of course we're complaining about in the auto industry, the idea that, for instance, a car company might manufacture a car with heated seats. But say if you want to use those heated seats, you got to pay a subscription, see? A monthly fee. If you don't want to use them, don't use them. Don't use them. And so we've been complaining about that. Now, this would be ironic if that was what was happening here. And it very well could be what's happening here. Now, I'm not 100% certain. I'll admit I'm not 100% certain on that. But that's what it kind of looks like. Because why else would you have this central company that's still connected to all these dealerships? Because the dealerships are competing with each other. They're from different manufacturers, and they're all independently owned and operated, of course. They're not connected to the manufacturers in that way. And yet they all use this program that goes back to the mothership, like I said. And now, there's no disconnection there. And of course, that seems to be the problem. And so looking at this from my viewpoint, my first thought is, gee, if I were to buy that car with the heated seats and pay the subscription to use the heated seats, could hackers take my heated seats offline? I don't know. But deep down, of course, there's a bigger problem here, and that is the fact that hackers appear to have taken down the program in such a way as to shut down the businesses of 15,000 dealers. And by that, I'm referring to the fact that they've got a sales department, they've got a service department, and they've just got general bookkeeping stuff. And apparently it's all tied together with one program that's tied back to the company, which when hackers take that down, it takes them all down. And so it's a bizarre situation, but these are the days in which we live. So there you go. So Al and everybody else, thanks for sending it. And that's a story from Rameshah Maroof. Massive auto dealer outage. CDK Global says it won't be able to come back online this month. Questions or comments, put them below. Let's talk to you later. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching Lehto's Law.
Writing my name in cursive is my signature move.